Snakeybus is a really weird game, but it's really fun. And I got it on Steam on sale, and I really didn't know what to expect. I thought I was just gonna pick it up for a second and maybe return it. But it became one of my favorite games to play whenever I got bored from other bigger games. In this video, I'm gonna be going over what makes Snakeybus unique and why it's so fun, coming from a simple idea of snake, which we've all heard of. So the first thing that Snakeybus does really good is it's easy to understand. Almost everyone knows what snake is. It's a very simple game. You go around and eat apples, and it makes you longer every time you get it. And the challenge is to stay as long as possible without running into yourselves or going out of bounds. So it's a challenge of space and movement. And Snakeybus does the exact same thing, even though it's presented in a very different way. Instead of apples, you're picking up passengers for your bus. Every time you pick up more passengers, your bus gets longer. The more passengers you pick up, the longer your bus. There is one twist on this idea, and that is there is drop-off locations where you can drop off your passengers. And once you drop them off, the bus gets longer. So if you pick up some people, you don't automatically get bigger, but once you drop them off at a location, then you get more buses. And naturally, this can be really fun because, first of all, we're in a 3D world, unlike Snake, which is very limited. With 3D, you have so many options on where you can go, how you can organize the snake of bus carts behind you. It's all up to you. And something that I really like that some people might not like is that there is this boost that slowly recharges as you drive or when you drop off passengers, and it makes it so that you can boost and fly in the air for a little bit. So this is great because it's not fully like Snake. If you get stuck in a bad position in Snake, you don't just fly away, right? You die. But in Snakeybus, it takes into account that it's a little bit weird because you're in a 3D game with a bunch of buses, and it fixes that by making it so that if you get stuck, there's a countdown, right? I think it's from 3 seconds, and you're able to boost away if that's possible. But you might be like, well, that's easy though. Like, you could just boost away from every time you get stuck. But it's actually not. The game still gets difficult even with this boosting ability. And you can also steer when you're in the air so you can land wherever you want, and it can all be strategical. So as you can imagine, each game of Snakeybus is unique. Every path you take while playing is different. There's only a few maps, and they're all great, and they don't feel boring, which is something that a lot of games I feel do. A lot of games that you just replay over and over and over, I feel like they do get boring after a little bit, but in Snakeybus, because everything is so reliant on the buses, and the buses are unique every game, it feels unique and I like it. One of the best things about Snake and Snakeybus are that when you start a game, you start off small, right? And it's really easy. You just go around and you get the apples. And when I play Snake, I feel kind of bored at the beginning, because I'm like, this is just easy. And then I'll die for some dumb reason and it annoys me. It's the same in Snakeybus, where you start really small, and you don't even see the back of your bus for a little bit. There's nothing like when you first play the game and you go around a tight turn and then you realize there's a buttload of butts behind you. A buttload of buses behind you. And it only gets more hectic from there. As you get more passengers, the buses just get exponentially bigger and it becomes exponentially harder. This is something that the original Snake does not do so well, I think. I mean, obviously it's not really needed for the simple game. But once you start growing in Snakeybus, it instantly becomes fun. It only takes a few seconds before you get pretty big, and then everything is down to you organizing the buses. And that moves into another part of the game, and that's the organizing of the buses. See, in Snake, you have to do like back-to-backs, and you have to plan out all your moves if you want to get a high score. Snakeybus is the same. It seems like a weird concept, but it feels so much like Snake when you have to go back and forth next to your buses because you're running out of space. This can make your adrenaline run many times throughout a game, and it's one of the things that I love so much. It's just so much more random and interesting than the normal Snake game. There have been so many moments when I realized, oh crap, this is the end, and I can kind of see I'm about to get stuck, but then I can like wiggle myself or make a really quick turn, or start boosting randomly or in a certain direction, and I just barely survive, and it's just so much adrenaline. Especially when you're at the end of your run, and you can tell like everywhere's full, and you're just making these split-second decisions of where you're going to drive and where you're going to go because you can't remember the way you went. In Snake, you can see all your buses at once. In Snakeybus, you can't. You can only see the stuff that's around you initially. So you don't know if there's space over there. You have to figure out for yourself Every time you take a turn, there's a risk that it might be a block, or it might be a dead end. It's all up to you to figure out. I really like that. It's much more exciting than a boring 2D Snake game. Of course, I'm not trying to say Snake is bad, I'm just saying Snakeybus is just a really good twist on this idea. And finally, I just wanted to talk about how this game doesn't seem very polished, but I'm going to argue that it actually is. So one of my concerns when I was going to buy it was I looked at some gameplay and I was like, what is this? The graphics are interesting. Like, the design is weird. I really didn't understand how this game was going to work, and I kind of wanted it to be high quality. I was going to try this game, and I was hoping that it was going to be good enough. But then I quickly realized that for a game like Snakeybus, it really doesn't matter how well everything's presented. I don't care the graphics are fine. I don't care that sometimes it's a little bit buggy with your camera or anything, because it's the idea to make me want to buy Snakeybus. It's not how it's presented. If this is the first time you've seen Snakeybus, I definitely recommend you check it out. Just get it with the intent to return it, but I promise you it's definitely worth it, especially with it being pretty cheap. That's the video. See you guys.